Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Diecast Iron Man figure unboxing and retro review. Now today we're going to be taking a look at something quite special. A lot of people don't realize that the very first diecast Iron Man figure was actually this guy right here, the Iron Patriot, the MMS 195D01. That means the very first diecast figure in the lineup. I honestly can't believe I didn't already have this guy in the collection, but with hopefully the imminent arrival of the endgame version of Iron Patriot, I couldn't do that figure justice without comparing it to this guy when he eventually releases, so of course I had to pick him up. Now I got mine off a local collector, but if you are looking to get him from Toys Wonderland, I'm pretty sure he still will be available. He's going to be a little bit more pricey because he is long since sold out, so do bear that in mind. I have included the link in the description below, but I have warned you, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art for the Iron Patriot. It's done in the usual die-cast Iron Man style with the slide off top and the bottom. I personally much prefer the newer method of doing it, how it kind of comes out the side like a drawer, but nevertheless it still looks really cool. We have the blue and the red plus the silver for the name, just like the color scheme of the Iron Patriot himself, plus this awesome wireframe image of him. Just like we saw recently with the Stealth Mark III, it's printed on the glossy acrylic cover here, and the back box art image is actually separate, so there's a little bit of depth there. It looks really cool. Iron Patriot on the side, and of course the cast and crew responsible on the back here. Now of course, I can't just review the Iron Patriot from Iron Man 3. We got another fantastic diecast figure from the Iron Man 3 line. It's of course the Mark 42, so stay tuned to the channel. I will be picking him up and reviewing him as well, because that's another one I missed out on. I do own the quarter scale version, but not the 1/6 scale diecast one. But we're here to discuss the Iron Patriot, and here we have him. I honestly don't know why I never picked this guy up. He is absolutely gorgeous. I love the super punchy, vibrant color scheme. Plus he's very hefty in hand. I love the weight of a die-cast Iron Man figure. Now of course, down below we do have another tray, plus of course the accessories up above. So what we are going to do now is get all the bits and pieces that come with Iron Patriot laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the bits and pieces that come with the Iron Patriot. Now let's start off with the display base first. This, for me, is a very familiar sight. Obviously, Hot Toys reused this a bunch of times after this guy, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the first to use it. It actually has 2 foot clamps with moving pieces. I've never had much luck with these moving clamps. Mine always get stuck and really crunchy over time, as you can see, and very hard to move. The outer ones, though, seem to move perfectly fine. It's an interesting design. I get what they were going for, but unfortunately it didn't really work. You do have a battery compartment and a switch down below, and when you flick the switch, you do get a nice, soft, diffused white glow on the top ring and also on the bottom. You've also got this gorgeous Iron Man 3 metal nameplate right up the front. As I said, I get what they were going for with these Hall of Armor style display bases, but for me, just a standard one would have been perfectly fine. You do get a nice hefty metal flight pole, so yes, you can have him in midair. It's not overly long though, so you can't have him hovering too far above the base itself. You also get some weapons, because of course he was War Machine before Iron Patriot. You get this laser type gun with a bunch of little warning stickers just letting you know, hey, it's a laser, there will be some radiation, so do be careful. It also has multiple different joints and another sticker on the inside there. Some people over the years have had these get a little bit loose and floppy, but I'm pleased to report mine is still perfect. You also get this teeny little swap out gun here. Once again, danger is printed on the front there, and this just swaps out onto his forearm. Now mine came wearing the articulated hands, but you do get a bunch of swap out ones, of course, with a little translucent section for the repulsor, and the panel up the top is sitting a little bit higher just so you can get it at an angle, versus this one, which as you can see sits a little bit lower. Now, the other thing that he comes with is, of course, a swap-out head sculpt with a Don Cheadle likeness. I think this is also one of the first times we saw this piece. It's really nicely sculpted and painted. I can see the likeness there. The helmet itself is also really nicely done. You have this moving jaw down below, which serves two functions. Number one, you can just have it sitting nice and low, or you can bring in the faceplate and then you move this down in order to actually secure the thing in place and then lock it in. It's a really nice design. I like this little moving piece down below. But you also get another faceplate, being this one right here. Turning it on the side, you can definitely see the difference. This one is kind of like the faceplate is opening up, so I would probably go with this one sitting on top of the helmet, because it kind of looks like the helmet has just revealed Don Cheadle's face there, and I think that's exactly what they were going for when they included this piece. You also have some gorgeous tech detail on the inside, and it's nicely painted as well. But overall, yeah, I'm really happy with this Don Cheadle head sculpt, and so were Hot Toys, because most recently they actually used this with the Mark VI War Machine from Avengers Endgame. It definitely has stood the test of time. What we are going to do now, though, is get the Iron Patriot himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And hot damn, if this guy isn't a stunning looking diecast Iron Man figure, then I don't know what is. I'm super impressed with the way he looks. It has taken me a while to warm up to picking up some of these Iron Man 3 figures, but now that I have, I can't wait to pick up even more. I have my list of favourite suits and I will be sticking to them, so I won't be going all out with the line, including the plastic ones. I'll just be sticking with my favourites, so of course I had to kick it off with this guy. He's such a unique colour scheme for an Iron Man / War Machine suit of armour. I am really happy that finally I decided to pick him up. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now, I'm not exactly sure why this guy isn't as popular as some of his other War Machine variants. I mean, this to me is a really cool suit. I totally get it. He's a lot sleeker and a lot simpler in design compared to the really popular Mark I or the really badass Mark III. But I mean, you can't deny how cool this color scheme looks on a suit of armor. I mean, it's literally a Captain America colored War Machine. I personally really love that. I also love the way it's painted. It's got a beautiful metallic royal blue, a equally metallic glossy cherry red, and the silver is no slouch either. Plus, he does have a surface level of detail of chipping and wear and tear, just to give this guy a little bit more oomph, make him a little bit more realistic. He also has some tampos, Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, his Air Force tail number, US Air Force logo there, couple more on the sides, plus even more dotted around the suit, and a 002, just letting you know, hey, this is a War Machine Mark II suit. The tampos will be different on the actual War Machine Mark II, but to me, this is the preferred color scheme for this sculpt in terms of the suit itself. Now, he does have the cannon on the back. You can see it says disengage to service, so of course that's exactly where I pegged it in. Pretty much wherever you see this slot, you can peg in the cannon. I've opted to peg it in right there, but it has a bunch of moving parts and joints like you saw earlier, so yeah, you can peg it in wherever you like. One other cool thing is the amount of diecast here. He weighs a ton. He's a very hefty figure. This entire chest plate, front, back, and even the battery compartment, all made of metal. that's not something we'd see nowadays. So yeah, I'm super happy with how much metal is here. Up here in the shoulder pads, also metal. Same thing with the biceps, coming down to the legs. Yep, absolutely, there's a ton of metal in them as well. He is truly one of the heaviest diecast figures that I've held to date. He's not the heaviest. I think that still goes to the War Machine Mark 1, but this guy is definitely no slouch. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the War Machine Mark II and the Iron Patriot. As you can see, in terms of the sculpt, they're pretty much identical. The only difference is the sculpted star on his chest and the paint applications. But boy, do they make a massive difference here. I've never loved this suit as a War Machine suit. It doesn't have the usual trappings. It's not huge and full of weapons. It's much more sleek, and I think that lends to the Iron Patriot look just a little bit better. So already I can tell you, I prefer the Iron Patriot here. As I said, I've never personally had a lot of love for this guy as War Machine, but as Iron Patriot, yeah, I think it works quite nicely. Just going over articulation on the Iron Patriot. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Also, this will have the exact same articulation scheme as the Mark II War Machine from Avengers Age of Ultron, and also the special edition from Iron Man 3. Now starting off with the helmet first, going back, total non-issue. You do get him going all the way up, going all the way down, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms themselves will go up to about there. They will go forward and back the full way. There is a butterfly joint at the shoulder, a swivel at the bicep, a double bend at the elbow, plus of course a ball joint for the wrist. As for the torso, you do get a little bit of crunch and swivel, but if you expand it, you get significantly more, and that includes side-to-side motion as well. Now, the legs do have multiple moving panels. I always suggest moving them first to get the maximum range forward and out. But if you do push this button, you can actually release the legs and get them to go even higher. So yes, you should be able to achieve a ground pound pose with this guy, although I personally am not a huge fan of the button push to release mechanism for the legs. You have a swivel at the thigh, a really clickety ratchet at the knee, which unfortunately doesn't really get you past 90. Coming down to the foot, forward and back, side to side, plus of course some toe articulation. Just wrapping up on the die-cast Iron Patriot from Iron Man 3. Now I don't think it's a secret by this point in the review that I'm enamored by this figure, and I don't exactly know why. I mean, I already own the War Machine Mark II, and I don't like that guy anywhere near as much as I like this one, and it's using the same mold. So let's try and break it down. The accessories, he doesn't come with a ton, so let's rule those out. The paint applications? We might be onto something, because this guy looks beautiful. I love the royal blue, the punchy cherry red, the vibrant bright silver. It looks really good. Then over the top of that, he does have that extra surface detail with the chipping and the weathering. It just makes him look a little bit more real. So yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Number two, I think this suit design works on a completely different level for Iron Patriot than it does War Machine. I mean, when you think of War Machine, you think big and bulky, basically an Iron Man suit tank, whereas this is the complete opposite of that. It's sleek and slim, and he doesn't have a ton of weapons. So for me, when you take it and brand it as Iron Patriot, do it in a Captain America color scheme, I kind of see it as a completely different character, even though it is still Rhodey. It just works, as I said, on a completely different level, and I think that's the key here. Where the War Machine Mark II fails, this guy comes in and is totally superior. If you had to pick between the two, go with this guy. He's super unique. We've seen that War Machine color palette a bunch of times, whereas this is something that you don't see very often in an Iron Man suit of armor. Now, if you are looking to pick this guy up, I'm pretty sure he will be available from toyswonderland.com, but do bear in mind he is going to be pricey because he is, of course, long since sold out, so keep that in the back of your mind when you are making your purchasing decisions. Also, if you are heading down to the description, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.